Put your faith in the light.
Hello guys, welcome to another one of my videos. This is Lightblade. Well guys, in this one we're gonna watch my run of 20 Sanguine Depths done with my push group on the week of Encrypted, Tyrannical, Raging, and Volcanic. So the affixes are really easy, especially on trash. You basically don't have to worry about anything. You just kill the trash and move on. The hard part of this week is the bosses. Tyrannical bosses, especially on high keys, are basically one shot if you fail a mechanic or something like that. You do a mistake or something, you know, you will die. Okay, so let's go and start with what conduits I'm going to be using for this run. So in this run I used Virtuous Command as my first potency. After that I'm using Hammer Genesis to get a 15% haste on demand whenever we're killing trash. And we're gonna use Ringing Clarity as our second potency conduit. This is because it's just really nice to have extra judgment procs on your Divine Toll. Other than that, our talent build is the current is this one. You can only use this build though if you have your 2-piece set of tier. If you don't have it, just use the old 1-minute build with Seraphim and Final Reckoning. But if you have 2-piece, this is the best build to use. It's a really fun build. You have a lot of procs and a lot of stuff happening, and also Sanctified Wrath feels so good to use because it does also uncapped AoE damage, which is really nice. Okay, so the last thing, as I said before, I'm using 2-piece tier set, and I'm gonna use the Tempest of the Lightbringer in this key. I should have used Divine Resonance because Divine Resonance is so much better in Tyrannical keys than Tempest of the Lightbringer. But I kind of make a mistake, and at the start of the dungeon I don't actually change my equipment sets. So I'm just gonna be using Tempest in this key. Anyways, next week, whenever we can use 2 legendaries, you will be able to use Tempest and Divine Resonance. So that will be really powerful for us Red Paladins that use our Covenant legendary as one of our main ones anyways. So, well guys, that's all before the key. Now let's go to the key itself. Okay guys, we're gonna start the run here. So first tip, kill this rat with a Holy Power builder so you get some Holy Power before you start to pull. It's just a small tip here. So we're gonna pull this first pack, we're gonna gather everything up and just blow it up. Try to stun those guys when they cast their weapon cast because they don't cast it. So that weapon deals magic damage and it's a pain for the tanks. Also these mobs drop some traps which are really annoying and actually are really annoying for all melee classes. Red Paladins are pretty chill because we can actually hit the mobs from really far away. You can see like Divine Storm has a really big AoE radius as well as Sanctified Wrath. Anyways, it's better to avoid the traps. Just gonna blow this pack up and get our damage buff because of the urn, because we have a Ventir. And we're gonna go to the next pack. So on the next pack there is a dangerous mob. It's the Mist Caster. This guy will do a frontal red thing that will deal a ton of damage to you if you're hit. Normally tanks will just point it to one direction and it will stay around that direction, so try to not get hit by the red stuff. Other than that, we're gonna kill the relic because is really good for my group, and I think most groups, the relic is just really powerful because it heals your group. Like basically you're immortal for the 10 seconds it lasts, and unless you like get one shot like by something catastrophic, you know. Anyways, it also gives you cooldowns back, which is extremely powerful for Red Paladins and for my group, especially the Demon Hunter as well, because and well, the Frost Mage, because he doesn't drop Icy Veins, and my Demon Hunter has more Metamorphosis casts over the course of the dungeon. So we're just gonna kill this 2-pack, and I'm just gonna try to interrupt the tick. Don't let the cast from the tick go off for too long, because the tick grows in size, and when it dies, it explodes. This week, since it's Tyrannical, not fortified, the tick doesn't do that much damage if you let it cast, but it's still a bit dangerous. So this big blue circle you see here actually doesn't do any damage. It's kind of bugged, so you can basically stand in it. You're gonna see that I'm gonna stand in that big circle, and it's not going to do anything in a bit here. Here we're just gonna blow up this pack using our cooldowns. Gonna kill the relic as well, and we're gonna interrupt the ticks, and you can handle those ticks with 1 interrupt and after that 1 stun. So a melee character with stun and interrupt can just handle 1 tick. So I'm assigning to 1 of those ticks. I do my kick, I stun, and then we just kill the pack as normal. We got we're just gonna use our cooldowns as soon as they up. We're gonna just use Divine Toll and everything, so we get them back because we have the buff. So here you're gonna see I'm gonna stand in this blue thing and it's not gonna do anything. You see? It didn't do anything. So unless they fixed it, and well, you can stand in it, you know. Other thing here, we're just gonna kill the Relic on this pack as well. We don't have our cooldowns back, so we're just gonna use sustained damage. In this key, I made a small mistake. I didn't use my Divine Resonance. It was Tyrannical. So the correct answer of Legendary to use was Divine Resonance and not Tempest. But I forgot to swap my gear before the key started, and then you can't actually swap it. And I noticed like when we were here, so I didn't want to go outside to swap legendaries. So I just kept going with Tempest. My boss damage is kind of low because of that, but we do a lot of AoE. Tempest is a really good legendary in Sanguine Depths anyway, because there's a lot of trash. Here we're gonna just use our wings and our cooldowns to blow out this pack. Our group should have enough single target damage without my cooldowns to destroy this first boss. We're gonna nuke this down. Since we have Tempest, better to just AoE down everything that we can, you know? As always, controlling the ticks, stun them, interrupt them, do anything that you can to those ticks so that they don't get their cast off. These raging mobs like hit like trucks. As you can see, my tank is taking a lot of beatings from these mobs. If you can and your tank is struggling, throw Blessing of Sacrifice on them. They will be happy about it. I normally just wait for my tank to call when he needs the Blessing of Sacrifice, so I don't throw it just like randomly. Here we're gonna kill, as always, the Relic because it's just too good. So we get cooldowns back. It's really good for us because we have a minute on cooldowns. When we kill the Relic, we're gonna have 30 seconds on it. Okay, so you see that the boss does a charge. You can, as a Paladin, bop or bubble it and just move to the side so your group doesn't take that big hit of damage. It's really useful on these Tyrannical weeks because it does deal a lot of damage on classes that don't wear plate. Plate classes can take the hit and not be worried that much, but other classes like clothies or leather classes do take a lot of damage from it. So after that we handle those balls and just put them away from the boss and make them explode and give time so the healer like gets up to top off and we don't die. Here I get another one of those charges, and instead of bop I bubble, so I don't take any damage and my group doesn't take any damage. The DPS in my group can all do some kind of immunity. We have Frost Mage, he can do Ice Block, and my Demon Hunter has Nether Walk. Here we're just gonna handle the balls again. It's a pretty simple boss, it's just rinse and repeat mechanics, and that it does take a toll on your healer's mana if you don't kill it really fast because of these balls that do a lot of damage to the group. We should be fine though, because on top of we are like soaking the charge, so we're not taking like huge amounts of damage. Here I do need help from my group because I don't have any immunities left. So we all stack and I get hit by the thing and we all survive, but we take some damage. Just gonna use everything that we can to kill this boss as fast as possible. It's a really long fight. Tyrannical bosses are like so chunky. I prefer Fortified Weeks. Also I prefer them because Red Paladins are mostly an AoE powerful class. We do really good single target damage, but our strengths lie in the AoE damage. Our AoE burst is what like it's comparable to like Fire Mage's AoE burst, I think. The thing is we're melee, and melee is always more danger than like casters and stuff, so sometimes you do a lot of damage, you take aggro and you die. Which is really annoying. Just gonna do the mechanics back and forth here. Take the balls out, go back to the boss, keep hitting him. Soak the orbs. Not all of them at the same time, so we don't blow up. Oh yeah, the boss does that cast. You interrupt it as fast as possible so the group doesn't take damage. Here we're just gonna soak another one of these charges. And finish up the boss. So we do something interesting here. We instead of like running away from the boss, since the boss has so little health, we're just gonna stack in one place, put all the orbs there, and then we're just gonna finish the boss and we're gonna kite it back. So we don't have to soak those orbs and take a lot of damage. Finish up the boss and get on with the next part of the dungeon. Sanguine Depths is a pretty chill key. Bosses are annoying and tyrannical, like I said before, but these have taken a lot of nerfs. This blue guy was a real pain at the start of the expansion. He was like really one-shotty. We're gonna use cooldowns here to blow up this pack. These small casters are really dangerous. They don't seem like it because we're just gonna blow them up in like a few seconds. But if they manage to survive and cast those Dark Bolt casts on someone, they will one-shot you in Raging. I do get one-shotted here in like at the end of the dungeon. I'll show you guys then when we get to that part. But yeah, these casters, if enraged and they target someone, they will do a ton of damage. After we kill that, we're just gonna kill the statue thing, or the gargoyle. He does those swirlies on the ground. Don't try to bop them because those things are nature damage. So the brown swirlies on the ground, they may look like physical damage, but they are actually nature damage. So don't stand there with bop. You can bubble them, you know, if you're lazy and don't want to move out, but better to say bubble for important things. Just gonna kill this thing. This guy is really dangerous when it's raging, so if you can get someone in your group to like soothe, get a hunter, a rogue, or a druid. Those classes can soothe out the rage because it puts a bleed on the tank, and the bleeds aren't mitigated by armor, so they take full damage of them. Here my tank is going to pull those little ads from behind, the little sprite small statue thingies, and we're gonna kill them here on this urn so we get the damage buff. We want to get a full stack before going to the next part. Although we kind of make a small mistake here, and some of us use damage potions, and we can't actually in this pot. So the goal here was to kill this pack and go to the room with the mini boss with a full stack of the damage buff from the urn. But since we used the damage pots on the last fight, we actually can't invis, so we're just gonna go and kill the next pack as normal. So we had a really nice route for this, but we actually had to move away from our plan. So we're just gonna finish up these casters. So this big tall caster that we just killed, he does a chain cast, and you can like, when he does the chains, you can just use your Blessing of Freedom as a paladin and just stand there and don't have to move. The other two casters that we killed just do a dot, and they do a silence on casters. So we're just gonna do the next pack. As I said before, the tall guy does a chain cast. You can just freedom it and stand there and keep hitting. The other two guys just do a damage cast that puts a dot, and a silence. That's the important thing that you have to kick. So basically that red cast that they're doing, that's the thing you gotta kick. The Gloom Burst will do a single burst of damage to someone. If it's raging, it might kill you. So try to interrupt that thing if the mob is raging. Fortified keys, those guys are a bit more dangerous. But in Tyrannical, they just die. I didn't use my wings on the last pack. I should have. I got a bit confused because we were changing plans and stuff. So I'm just gonna use them here and blow up this pack. Normally it's not really good to like hold on to cooldowns for a long time. I think I held my wings for about a minute. Yeah, that was a bit of a mistake on my part. Here I freedom, so I don't. Ooh, I take a. You see, I take a big bolt from the gloom cast from the tall guy. Almost die, but I did survive with a sliver of health. Here we're gonna kill the Ur relic as always because it's really good. It's best relic, and we're just gonna focus down all these small ads. Tall caster, the guy that casts that tornado thingy, that's the mini boss here. That tornado thingy is physical damage, so you can actually, if you like get trapped or can't move away from it for whatever reason, you can bop that thing and protect yourself so you don't die, because on a high enough key it's a one-shot. It's physical damage, so it will be mitigated by your armor as a plate class if you're a red paladin, but better not to get hit by it. But if by any reason you do, you can bop and survive because it's physical. On fortified keys, it will probably one-shot you even though we're plate. Also, if it's raging, it will one-shot you. So those little guys get raged and run away. So if you're going to do the skip that I talked about, it's better if you can like stun those little guys so they don't run away and get the pack that's outside, you know. Can get pretty messy if you don't. Here we're just gonna kill these guys. The small casters only throw books and do those swirlies on the ground, just move away from them. The throw casts are random on anyone and they're physical damage. They're just damage your healer has to like heal. The tall guy though does a cast that puts a root on someone and deals dot damage. So if it's not interrupted, it will do a lot of damage to the person it's cast on. So 2 melee can do a rotation and handle those. If you, by whatever reason, get cast on, you can use freedom to remove the chains, which will also remove the bleed. After this, we're gonna go pull more trash, just keep doing the dungeon pack by pack. As I said before, our plan changed a bit. So the original plan was to kill the mini boss in the room back there and come here immediately, destroy this pack with the urn behind us and get a damage buff, but we can't actually do that now because we missed the Invis potions. Just gonna blow up this pack. It's a pretty simple pack, there's nothing much importance here. Try to interrupt always the red mobs, those red ghost thingies, because they do a cast that puts a debuff on someone. It's a curse. You can also dispel it if you're a class that can actually dispel curses. As red paladins we can't. So that explosive anger puts a debuff on someone that makes them do more damage, but in 5 seconds they will explode for massive damage on a circle. So better to just interrupt it, even though it gives you damage, you know. So if you're like min-maxing the thing, you can let it cast on someone in your group. They will deal damage for 4 seconds and dispel the thing at the last instance possible. But it's a bit dangerous, you know. Why risk death? Here we're just gonna kill these things. Small mobs, they don't do much. These black ghosts used to be really annoying at the start of expansion. They left like a big black circle under them when they died, and they cast a big black circle, so it was really toxic to melee characters. The start of Shadowlands was horrible for melee characters. There were so many things that killed us. Between the new affixes like Storming and Spiteful, and a lot of melee mechanics that were really horrible in dungeons, like the ghosts here, the black ghosts that did that thing. Anyway, here my tank is going to do a big pull. He's gonna pull like two packs here, and we're gonna LOS onto this small pillar. So we gather them all up, and we're gonna kill them with that urn. So we're gonna get that buff, extra damage. As always, try to interrupt that red ghost thingy. We're gonna just use cooldowns here to finish this pack off. There's a lot of mobs. The new red paladin build is so fun. I really like it. I enjoy playing reds a lot with this build. I didn't like the 1 minute build that much. It did a lot of consistent damage on a 1 minute cooldown, but like after your cooldowns, you literally did no damage after that. You could stay like AFK and it didn't really matter because our damage was so low after cooldowns. Now we do have a lot of sustained damage outside of them with the procs from Seraphim, and when you get Forset, you also get Wake of Ashes procs instead of Blade of Wrath procs. So here we're taking a lot of damage. I think I got casted by 2 of the scribes, so they threw a book at me when they were raging and they were dealing a lot of damage. So the throw book cast is physical, so that's why I bopped to survive there. Here we're just gonna kill this gargoyle and go to the boss. So we have, like you see on the top right of my screen, I have 6 stacks of the damage buff. So I think that's 30% extra damage. So we're going to go into this boss with 30% extra damage. Although I don't have cooldowns, we're gonna kill the relic so I get my cooldowns back and just nuke this boss down. As I said at the start of the video, I'm not using Divine Resonance. It's a legendary that I should have been using because it's Tyrannical weekend, and that's a really good Tyrannical legendary. But I forgot to swap. So we're just gonna do whatever we can with our Tempest one. In this fight, actually, it's pretty useful to have Tempest since there's like 2 mobs, like the little thing that the boss casts, this little ghost that he's gonna put down. So you can actually like use Divine Storms and that, so you can cleave them both, you know. Other than that, Tempest doesn't have much value on bosses in Sanguine Depths. So you can see we're gonna blow up that little thingy, that little ghost, because it does a lot of pulsing damage and it's really dangerous for the whole group, so always kill that ghost as fast as you can. One good thing about the new red build is that we use Mechanicals, and Mechanicals gives us cooldown reduction on our Divine Toll. So ideally we should actually always have our Divine Toll to kill this little ghost thingy. You can also stun the little ghost thingy to prevent it from hitting your tank, because it does hit really hard, like it hits like half the damage of the boss. Move away from those red pools. The person with the circle has to go out so they don't deal damage to the whole group. You can actually immune that red circle that the boss puts on you if you get targeted as a red paladin, use your bubble and stuff. Here I'm not looking much of the target of the boss, so I kinda panic, use my bubble here. Yeah, I use it there, you know. I think it was a good call though, because I wasn't like looking and I was gonna get hit by the red thing that circles this boss, that thing. And also get hit by the circle of my team. So I think it was a good bubble in retrospect, but I did panic bubble there. Here my Demon Hunter uses Darkness to survive that thing, and we're just gonna kill that last little ghost ad. If it goes big and it starts pulsing a ton of damage to the group, if we commit to the boss, we might die, or risk people dying, you know? So better to just kill it off. There I use my Lay on Hands just to survive the last ticks of damage, because it gets hectic at the end of the fight. I think my mage died there. Yeah, he used the pot thingy, so he died, but he lived. You know? Yeah, he died, but lived. The pot is so OP. It was really annoying in PvP. I remember at the start, people dying in that pot, like getting bopped, or surviving in PvP was horrible. They didn't change anything, just people got better at killing it, I guess. Here we just need 2 mobs, so my Demon Hunter is going to stop that path there with the Imprison. And we're gonna pull these two mobs a bit far, so we don't actually get that path. And that's the last thing we're gonna kill on this floor, and we're gonna go to the next boss. It's a really nice thing with this build that we can just use our abilities on cooldown, like Wake of Ashes and all that stuff. You better get used to using Wake of Ashes on cooldown, because whenever you get your Forset, not using it on cooldown is going to be punishing, because you can actually reset Wake of Ashes without using it. So always keep Wake of Ashes on cooldown when you get your Forset. The moment I only have 2 sets, so it's not gonna get reset. But it's better to train yourself to just use the thing, you know. Ideally, you want to have your Wake of Ashes and Divine Toll for when your wings are going to come up, because they help a lot with Holy Fire generation, so you get more casts of abilities during your Sanctified Wrath, you know? So you do more explosions in AoE. This next week we will get what's it called? Double legendaries. It's gonna be so fun. Since it's also a fortified week, the ideal combo is going to be Divine Resonance with Tempest of the Lightbringer for keys. It will be a really fun week. I hope the affixes are really good. These casters are the same casters of the first part of the dungeon. They do a dot on one person, and they do a silence on a caster. The red cast is the silence, the purple cast is the dot. As you can see there, they cast on me, I got a dot, my healer dispelled it. Here we're gonna kill the Ur Relic. Ideally you wanna kill the Ur Relic when the boss is doing its big AoE cast, so you get the healing from the Ur, and your healer doesn't have to stress that much. We're also going to use a rotation of immunities here, so I think my mage is going to hear immune first, and he's gonna, I think, ice block or something. Or I think my Demon Hunter did it. Anyways, someone immune here, and we can take 4 orbs. So we take less damage from the explosion. The next one, I'm going to use Bubble, and my team is going to take each 4 of the orbs. Even with 4 orbs, I did take a ton of damage there. That's because it's a high Tyrannical key, 20. Here I'm gonna bubble at the last second, while my team takes all the orbs they can. And we bubble and survive. Doing it at last second is really good because it can last at the first like second of this torment cast. So you save a bit of damage, you know? Don't take that much. Bosses take so long on Tyrannical. I don't really enjoy Tyrannical keys, like I said before. I prefer Fortified. Yeah, well, that's basically all the fight. Just rinse and repeat. Here I'm gonna take 4 orbs. Yeah, so because I think my mage is gonna ice block. Yeah, there's the ice block. It's a really good thing that we have like 3 classes with immunities. It's really useful to have them, you know? Don't get hit by those yellow swordies because it's in a Tyrannical setting, it will be a one-shot. Or you will like take tons of damage and your healer will be panicking because he also has to heal the tank, you know? The boss does a single target cast on the tank, which deals a ton of damage. Here we're gonna take as many orbs as we can. We take 4. I think my mage ice blocked again. I'm not sure though. Took 4 orbs, which is fine. Oh yeah, one thing, I'm using 14% avoidance here, so AoE damage, I'm taking a 14% reduced rate, you know. And I'm still getting like heavily chunked. Well, the boss is about to die. We're just gonna use our 1 minute cooldowns here. Divine Toll and Wake of Ashes to finish it off. Safety, we're gonna take 3 of the orbs. And we're gonna use our Shield of Vengeance, I think, to mitigate some of the damage. Oh, never mind, we don't use it. I should have used it though, because it's extra damage when it explodes. And finally the boss is dead. That's a long ass fight. Now we're gonna go to the last and most dangerous part of the dungeon, because if you are... we're gonna kill first this small pack of hunters, gorgons, and... well, not gorgons, like hunter... yeah, there's a gorgon. Hunters, gorgons, and casters, they don't do much. The hunters do the trap thingy, the casters do the dot and the silence cast. And these gorgons aren't as dangerous as the Halls of Atonement one. They don't do that nasty bleed on the tank. So just nuke them down. And after this, we're gonna use an Imbus pod, and we're gonna just go to the next part of the dungeon without killing these mini bosses. It's a pretty popular strategy, even in like 15 keys and stuff, to just don't do this big pack of mini bosses, because they are really dangerous. Also, they have a ton of health, even on a Tyrannical setting. Worse in a Fortified, because they have even more health, you know. They have a lot of area denial effects, which is not fun to play with, especially if you're melee. So we're just gonna Imbus to the next part and start the gauntlet. Remember that you can use your horse and Imbus, so you have you're fast, you know. So you don't have to just walk Imbus, and you can use the speed of your horse. We have 14 minutes, so this is going to be a time key. Here we're just gonna blow this thing up. We're gonna kill the relic if we can. Here I die because I get aggro of one of those gorgons that is coming, one of the packs that just appear out of nowhere there. And I used my bob too prematurely, I think. I should have waited a bit to use my bob, but I think I died not only because of the gorgon, I also got hit by 2 dark bolts, which is the casters that I talked at the start of the key. Those small casters, even though they are not elites, do a ton of damage with their bolts casts when they are enraging, and I think both of them targeted me, so I got smashed. Anyways, we survive. We get a battle rest and just continue killing the boss. You know, it was annoying that we died on our cooldowns, but it will sometimes happen. This boss also used to have a bug where if you were standing in front of a wall like I am here, and she targeted you with a bleed, the bleed wouldn't actually apply. But I think they fixed it because, as you can see, my back is to the wall, and the boss jumps to me and puts the bleed. So I guess they fixed that. I was hoping it would work so I wouldn't take a lot of bleed damage. That thing is really annoying. Also, since we're using Mechanicos, my files are getting used like automatically, so I can't actually save them for when I need them. If I drop below 30% health, I think, they will be automatically used. So that's why I don't actually have any files at the moment. Anyways, we're just gonna kill this pack. This pack hits hard on the tank because of those non-elite mobs. They put a debuff that make the tank take extra damage. Just gonna kill them and get our stacks off the urn. We can get full 10 stacks here to go to the next pack with a lot of damage. We have all cooldowns ready for the next pack. So these casters are the same ones that killed me before. They are really annoying when they are raging. So here I'm just praying I don't die. I do survive though. I think I got jumped by the boss like every time and also get casted by those small mobs. We did control them though very well. My Demon Hunter did AoE stuns, my tank also did AoE stuns. I stunned one and tried to interrupt another one. Really dangerous mobs on raging. Here we're gonna just use our sustained damage to do that, to do whatever we can. We're gonna kill the Woe relic here instead of the Ur, because our idea was to use the Woe invisibility to go past and finish the boss up. But we actually changed our minds in the middle of the run and just said, well, now let's kill Woe and just kill anything in our way to the boss, you know. So we're not going to skip anything, we're just gonna kill as normal. Because we have so much time. 10 minutes to kill just a boss and a small pack of mobs. Key is basically time, so no need to do anything weird. It's gonna finish up these Gorgons. We have a few seconds left on our 10 stack buff, so we're gonna use it here. With our Divine Toll, and I don't think Wake of Ashes is up at the moment. Yeah, it's not up, so we're just gonna use Divine Toll and kill this pack as fast as we can. These guys are the same mobs that are at the start of the dungeon. They do the cast of the weapon. If you see that weapon cast, try to stun them so the weapon doesn't appear, because it does a lot of damage to your tank. The gargle thingy is the same gargle as at the start of the dungeon. It deals a bleed to your tank and it hits like a truck, so try to kill it as fast as you can. And this is the last pack of the dungeon, just a bunch of hunters, gargoyles, and I think there's no casters, so they're just gonna put some traps on the ground and stuff. Pretty easy to kill. After this, we're gonna go face the last boss of the dungeon, that's Kal. And she is a long fight. And it's a pretty attrition heavy fight because she's gonna put bleeds on everyone. Even though you can cleanse it with the item, with the Naru item that the boss gives you, the bleed does a ton of damage. And if you stand together with another person that has a bleed, you both will take a ton of damage and probably get one shot. We do make that mistake here. So you will see in certain parts that we make that mistake of stacking too close together and one of us dies. Anyways, we want to kill the Ur relic as well here, so we get our first round of cooldowns, then have a second round of cooldowns pretty fast. We have a lot of tools to survive though. As a red paladin, we got Bob, we got Bubble, we got our file if we can actually cast our owl guy so he can give us our potions. Anyway, we should be fine with just our Bubble and our Bob. I think we've been hit by the bleed each time she has casted it. It's pretty annoying though, having to move away from the boss and not do damage, but that's the way mechanics work. On the next bleed, we're gonna use, I think, Bob, or Bob also immune the bleed. Here we're just gonna wait for our wings to come back. And we're just gonna Bob the thing. So she doesn't, when you Bob, she doesn't run to you. It's basically like you avoid the dash. She will just do one dash. And if you're the first person that gets targeted with the dash, she will actually don't do anything. Like she won't dash again. Which is really good because you save another person from taking the bleed as well. Here we take a ton of damage because that thing hit us really hard. I think someone else immuned it, so it only hit me. But that's fine. Here I'm just gonna bubble because I was kind of trapped there. If I went to the right, I was gonna go near my teammate and we were both gonna take a ton of damage. If I stayed there, I was gonna die because of the red thing on the ground. So to be safe, just bubble. Here we're just gonna finish up the boss. He's almost dead. As I said before, Tyrannical bosses are really chunky. They have a ton of health. Here's the part where we actually stack with my Demon Hunter and he gets like destroyed because of the AoE damage that the boss does. Actually, we only survived there because we replayed Warring class and we have a ton of avoidance. We should have died there, so avoidance is saving us from our mistakes. Gotta dodge that red thing. We will have one last round of cooldowns before we finish this boss. Our wings should come off cooldown so we can finish this off. And there's our wings. Boss should be dead any second now. She dies at about 50%. And she's dead. And that's a +1 kill. Nice. Well guys, that's the run of Sanguine Depths 20 as a Red Paladin. Well guys, that was a really fun run of Sanguine Depths 20. I hope you enjoyed the video and it was informative for you guys that are trying to do some high keys as Red Paladins. I will be uploading more of my runs. I have a Halls of Atonement and a Plaguefall 20 run that I want to upload to my channel, so expect those in the following days, as well as my main guide for Retribution Paladins in 9.2. So whenever I get my 4-piece and I can test it by myself in a live environment, I will be uploading a full guide of Retribution Paladins, conduits, talents, all that good stuff, you know. Well guys, that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and thanks for watching everyone.